Let's do one very famous and interesting study as a supporting study for stereotype threat. Steele and Aronson carried out a study to show how stereotype threat may affect an individual's test performance. Now, the aim of the study was to see how stereotype threat affects test performance in African Americans. Steele and Aronson defined stereotype threat as being at risk of confirming as self-characteristic a negative stereotype about one's group. The sample was made up of 114 male and female, black and white undergraduates from Stanford University. There were two independent variables in the study: the race of the participant and the test descriptions. Now, the participants were given a standardized test of verbal ability, similar to the SAT, and they were told one of the two things. First, it is a test to diagnose your intellectual ability. Second, it is a test for your problem-solving skills. In the first condition, the focus was on verbal ability. In the second condition, it was on problem-solving. Now, participants were randomly assigned to one of the two conditions. However, they made sure that there were equal number of participants in each condition. The following graph here you can see shows the mean test scores under each condition. There was no significant difference between male and female participants, so gender is not included. There were two experimental conditions. Condition 1 was that stereotype threat condition. In this condition, the test was described as being a measure of intellectual ability. This would cause the negative racial stereotype to become relevant to the black participants and establish stereotype threat. Condition 2, the non-stereotype threat condition. The test was merely described as a problem-solving task that was unrelated to intellectual ability. This should have not established any stereotype threat. Okay. Now, as you can see, African Americans did poorly when they believed that the test was a test of their intellectual ability, but did just as well as the white Americans when they believed that it was a test of their problem-solving skills. In other words, African American participants performed less well than their white counterparts in the stereotype threat condition, but in the non-threat condition, their performance equaled that of their white counterparts. Let's do the evaluation of the study. The sample was made up of Stanford University students, so it may not be representative and thus difficult to generalize the findings. Number 2, the study made use of an independent sample designs. Verbal scores from participant SATs were collected prior to the study in order to make sure that they were all within the norm of verbal performance and baseline. In this way, participant variability was minimized. However, a matched pair design may have been a better approach. 3. Although there is a difference between the two average scores, it does not necessarily mean that the participants experience stereotype threat. Their salience about their racial identity and their levels of stress during the exam were not measured in this first variation of the experiment. Later variations of the experiment showed, however, that this was most probably the case. 4th, according to Steele, stereotype threat turns on spotlight anxiety. What is that? Fear of failure, which causes emotional distress and pressure that may undermine performance. Students under the stereotype threat often underperform, and this can naturally limit their educational prospects. Next, this is the phenomena where people tend to overestimate how much others notice aspects of one's appearance or behavior. This causes a lot of social anxiety for people. So I hope you liked my video and you understood the stereotype chapter really well. If you have any questions, please feel free to write in the comments below. And if you liked my video, please don't forget to like, share and subscribe. If you have any questions regarding the topic or any other questions regarding psychology or IB psychology exams or ERQs, SAQs, whatever it is, please do write in your comments below.